friends, my name is Kay Lorraine, and today I'm doing my wrap up for the month of May, and I read quite a few things in the month of May and quite a variety of things, so let's just jump right in. So the first book that I completed in the month of May was Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire. This is the sequel companion novel to Every Heart a Doorway, which I read the month before, and I requested to read an advance copy of this on NetGalley, and I ended up getting approved and then read it all in one sitting because it was really amazing. This book follows one of my favorite characters from Every Heart a Doorway, and that is Jack. I loved Jack as a character, and I was so excited to follow that storyline along with their twin sister. This has the same fantasy elements and kind of portal fantasy-esque world, and it is just as dark as the first one and has just as much feminism and discussion on diversity and just understanding other people's differences as the first book did, and it integrates it really, really well, and I was just obsessed with this. This book comes out on June 13th, and I highly recommend you pick it up. If you haven't already read Every Heart a Doorway, get on that. It's amazing. These are incredibly short books. They're like novellas, I think, and they're just incredible, and they just pack so much story into such a tiny little book. So I do recommend this, and I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and this is a book that I have been anticipating since last year. I think it was supposed to come out in September of last year, and then it got pushed back to March or April, but I just ended up getting around to it, and it is amazing. So it follows this fantasy storyline about this lost city of Weep, and we follow a main character named Laszlo Strange, and he is obsessed with this lost city, and he finds an opportunity to travel to it and hopefully find out a little bit more about the mystery, as everyone around him has completely forgotten about it, and they don't even know the original name of the city. They just call it Weep because everyone has forgotten the name. And this was really good. The only complaint that I have, and this is just something that I find with all of Laini's novels, I don't know why, it's just something for me personally, I find that the middle always drags a lot for me, so it does take a little bit of a push to get to the end of the book. But it's always so satisfying, and I really did enjoy where this book left off, and I'm very much looking forward to the sequel, which I think rounds out the series as it is a duology, if I'm thinking correctly. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm still thinking about that ending because it was so fantastic. Next, I listened to Being Jazz, My Life as a Transgender Teen by Jazz Jennings on audiobook, and I really enjoyed this. This follows Jazz Jennings. This is like a memoir of her early life growing up and then being a transgender teen, and it was just a really pleasant audiobook to listen to. I really enjoyed it. The author narrated it herself, and I think she did a really good job. I do want to point out that while this is her experience, therefore it is not wrong, she does make some comments about being born in the wrong body, and I know that sometimes that wording can be damaging for trans and non-binary readers, so I did want to point that out. But again, coming back to, this is her story, this is how she feels about her life, so it's not right or wrong, it's just her personal experience. But I did want to put that out there just in case it was something that could be harmful or damaging to any readers who might reach for that book without knowing. Overall, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and again, this was just a really pleasant memoir to listen to on audiobook. Next, I read The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, and I feel like my face is just giving away how I felt about this book because it was so fantastic. It follows a main character named Molly, and she's just an amazing and relatable main character. She's fat, and that is a pretty central part to the story because it has a lot to do with her identity, how she feels about herself, how she does love herself but sometimes feels uncomfortable with the way other people see her, and I really enjoy that narrative, and the romance in this and the friendships and the family dynamics were just so well done. And when I finished this book, I was just literal tears of happiness because it was so perfect. Like, this is a perfect book. It is so perfect, and I loved it so much, and I just want to read everything by Becky Albertalli because she just does wonderful things with teenage characters, and she just gets it, and she gives me all of the feels, and it's just amazing. If you couldn't guess, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars, and I have recommended it to like everyone I know. Even people I don't know, if they mention they like reading it, I'm like, you know what you should read? The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. That's how obsessed I am. Next, I read Cheese Sweet Home Volumes 1 and 2 by Kanata Konami. But this is a manga that just follows this cat named Chi, and I think that's how you pronounce it. And she is just a cute little kitten, and she gets separated from her mama, and she gets scooped up by this family, and it's just kind of her adventures of trying to get back home and like find out what home means and just find her place in the world. And it is literally as adorable as it sounds. So if you like really cute stories and you like cats, I don't really know what you're waiting for on this one. I ended up giving both volumes a 4 out of 5 stars, and they were super good, and I do recommend them for just a quick, really emotional but in a good way read. Next, I read Paper Girls Volumes 1 and 2 by Brian K. Vaughan. This is my first introduction to Brian K. Vaughan, and I'm impressed enough to be interested in reading some of his other works, but not so intrigued that I'm going to pick anything up immediately. This follows 4 paper girls in kind of a weird science fiction storyline in the 1980s, I think like the late 1980s maybe, and it definitely has some Stranger Things vibes, which is what drew me to pick this up in the first place, and I really did enjoy it. I do have to say that I don't quite like the way that Brian K. Vaughan writes female characters. I don't think they're very realistic for 12-year-old girls, and I also don't like that one of the characters appears to be very homophobic, and I know that it's kind of like, the way it's written, it's almost like it's trying to pass it off as just like a product of the time, but authors can make intentional choices to put things or leave things out of books, or comic books in this case. Well, I guess graphic novel. And I wasn't a big fan of that. Even though it was corrected a couple of times, it just kept happening, and every time it happened, it was just really annoying to read, and I really wish it hadn't have been in there, or if it was, just the one time and then have that correction and then be done. So I ended up giving both of these volumes a 3 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy it, but you know, those couple of things, I don't really like the way the female characters are written, and then the homophobic comments within it, just wasn't a big fan of. So just a heads up, if you are thinking about picking that up, those things are present within the series so far. Next, I read quite a few Sara Dessen books, and we're about to have a conversation. So I'll start with the book that I really, really enjoyed by Sara Dessen, and that was Someone Like You. This is the only book by Sara Dessen that I previously read in my teenage years. I liked it then. I still like it now. This follows a main character as she's navigating a new relationship that kind of puts a strain on her family life. She is also navigating her friendship with her best friend, who has recently found out she's pregnant. And it's just a really great YA novel. I love this contemporary, and I think that Sara Dessen did a great job with so many different discussions within that novel. And I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars and really enjoyed it. So because Sylvia over at Wish Fulfillment had been reading some Sara Dessen novels, I think she read that summer and then Someone Like You, I decided I was going to pick some up too because I was interested. So I went ahead and picked up That Summer, which is her first one. And this honestly would have been like around a 3 out of 5 stars for me because the story was pretty solid, it was enjoyable, but there were just a couple of characters that I did not enjoy the way they were portrayed. One in particular, there is a customer within the book that is just described as being fat in a really problematic way, and is also made to be like a really evil, bitchy character, and I'm just really tired of seeing any fat character either be weird or mean or just being described in just like a really awful way. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and just the way that some of the female characters were written as kind of catty and petty was annoying. So I ended up giving this one a 2 out of 5 stars because of those problems. And then I picked up Keeping the Moon, and this one, man, I thought that one side character was bad, the way she was written, but the main character in this book, her mother is a fitness guru, and she's described as having used to be fat, and the main character used to be fat, but then the aunt is still fat, and the way that it is described it feels so disrespectful and so problematic. And I get where the story was trying to go with it, like it was trying to be body positive, but it did it in a way that excluded body positivity for fat people. If you can't be body positive for every body type, then I don't really feel like you're truly being body positive. Body positivity should be inclusive for every body type. It doesn't matter how skinny or how fat you are. You should be included in that, and you should be able to love yourself without any conditions. It's just as simple as that. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. And again, this was one where the storyline was actually pretty decent, and I enjoyed it. So truly, if it hadn't been for those things, this probably would have been like a solid 3 out of 5 stars. But I ended up giving this one a 1 out of 5 stars because it was just very problematic, in your face, over and over again, page after page. So I'm sad to say that I didn't like it, and I don't know that I'm going to pick up any more Sara Dessen novels, because it just seems like those 2 instances was just a bad experience. If I really feel like reaching for someone like you again, I will, because I did enjoy that, but I don't know that I want to venture into any other ones. So next, I read Girl Out of Water by Laura Silverman, and this is a debut contemporary, and it is just really cute. It follows, well, I mean, it's not 100% cute. It is kind of sad in places, but overall it's pretty cute. It follows a main character who has to uproot herself from her beach life where she's surfing and hanging out with her friends for their last official full summer, and she moves to Nebraska for the summer to help take care of her aunt and her cousins. Her aunt's been in a bad car accident, and she moves out there to kind of help handle things, and just kind of uproots her life and goes to Nebraska where there isn't an ocean or surfboards, and she picks up skateboarding with a really cute guy. And that's where most of the cute stuff happens, and I really, really enjoy this. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give a lot away. This is a very slow burn contemporary, so keep that in mind. Not a lot of things happen all at once. It kind of paces itself really well. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars, and this was a really fantastic debut, and I'm super impressed and will definitely pick up other things from Laura Silverman in the future. And finally, I listened to Sounds Like Me, My Life So Far in Song by Sara Bareilles. This is another memoir. It is narrated by the author, so we get to listen to Sara Bareilles narrate this along with a couple of other people throughout. I mean, not really much to say. It's a memoir. It's kind of self-explanatory. It talks about her musical journey, and this was really enjoyable. There were some things that really resonated with me as far as how Sara felt about her journey towards music and songwriting, and there were some things that didn't sit quite well with me, and those aren't really, they weren't bad, it's just things that I didn't resonate well with, and I was just like, ooh, that seems like a weird way to put that, but I feel like that's more personally on me than it really is on the author, because this is her own experience. She can't really be right or wrong about her personal experiences with her life, so do want to keep that in mind. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was pretty good, pretty straightforward, super quick read. Like, you could listen to this or read it pretty quickly. I think it was only like, it was like under 4 hours or something for an audiobook, which takes no time when you're like me and you're not patient enough to listen to it on regular speed. So yeah, this was actually really enjoyable though, but again, nothing super special about it that I'd be like, yes, you must read this, but still enjoyed it. So middle of the road, 3 out of 5 star rating for me. Okay, that has been it for today's wrap up. I had some really fantastic books that I read this month, and some other books that, while I didn't enjoy them. They definitely made me think a lot, so I don't regret reading them. And I definitely hope that this opens a good conversation with any of y'all in the comment section below, especially just revolving around body positivity. I want to see more of that, so if you have any book recommendations, drop them down there, because I need more. I need more like The Upside of Unrequited, which was, oh my gosh, it was everything, guys. It was perfection. Anyway, that has been it for today's video. I will leave links in the down bar below for all of my social media sites. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Stay weird.